Kia ora, no mai, haere mai. Welcome to From Darkness to Light. You're here with me, Sister B, coming in live from Whitehall tonight, again with another inspiring, courageous conversation with survivors of childhood abuse and trauma. This is From Darkness to Light, and you're here with me, Sister B, and we are going to bring on a special guest who is going to share with us a part of her journey of survival. And I'm always excited because one should never be afraid to share their story, because within the story is the power, potentially the power to unlock someone else's prison. So we just never know when our stories, my story, your story, or someone else's story is going to be that key. So welcome, no mai, haere mai. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Ko au tēnei he uri nā te kānganu ki te wairoa, tamakai moana tū hoi hoki e mihi atu ana. Hei tīmatanga mā tātou I te pōnei. Tuia ki te rangi e tū nei. Tuia ki te whenua e takoto nei. Tuia ki te moana po kare nei. E rongo I te pō, I te ao, I te ao, I te pō nei e. As it is written in the heavens and the stars, on the lands and in the seas, there's also reflected in the division between night and day. No mai, haere mai. It's my pleasure to bring to you this morning Leitha, and we're going to invite Leitha to come on screen with us now. Kia ora, sister. No mai, haere mai.
Well, hi.
Hi,
I'm
sis.
a bit nervous.
You're a bit nervous. It's okay to be nervous. Yeah. I think you're really courageous and brave sharing your story with us tonight live. So welcome. And I just want to say thank you again. I know it is a big deal, and I think that you're honestly inspiring for me and each and everybody that comes on. I know the first time we met, and even since then, I see a whole different Leitha in the world showing up in different ways. Yeah. So I'm really keen for us to have just a bit of a conversation and talk about your journey and where you've come from and where you're at now and potentially where you want to head. So welcome, and it's really good to see you. And thanks.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Where shall we start? I'm going to just start with, we'll just cut back a few years. And so tonight is about sharing conversations with survivors of childhood abuse or trauma. So when I get you to think about what that sentence means for you, what's the first thing or memory or what comes to mind when you think about that, when you think about trauma?
Okay. Well, for me, it was kind of hard to identify it, to be honest. I've gone through a whole lot of darkness for a real long time. I'm kind of lucky because I've done this ACC sensitive claim. And we'll get there because I don't really want to touch that right now, but it sort of opens your eyes up to what trauma looks like. Now, I'm a whāngai child through my father's, through my Ngarangiwaho whānau. I've been whāngai through that whānau. I'm a spoiled child, but I'm also an envy child. So there was a lot of jealousy and hate and really nasty behavior around me growing up. But me being so oblivious to it all because I'm a child, I had no understanding of it all. You know, I had grown adults leaving me behind, letting me watch them drive out while they will pick up other children and take them to places while I'd be sitting there because my parents spoilt me, the parents that brought me up. So it was just a bit different in those sorts of ways. Yeah. And just lots of different sort of activities around me at all times, to be honest.
Yeah. So I know you're going through ACC process at the moment, what would you say has been the most dramatic impact for you in your life because of the trauma and abuse of the past?
The fact I haven't been able to live freely, as even though people think I have, because I've had quite, in the eyes of other people, looking through those windows at that white picket fence, in some people's eyes, I've probably had a really good life. I've got a degree in teaching. I come from a good family and all these amazing things. I had father of my children worked. He's very, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really going to talk about him because, but he was a good father in that sense. He took care of them monetarily ways. And he was there for them as well in other ways. But, yeah, I suppose for me that's what it was. That's not living freely, because what I was doing was facading the fact that I was trying to keep up with the wants and needs from everybody else, and it's unachievable. It's unachievable.
So what did you do to replace it? What were you doing?
I went and got high and went to get drunk. I done all those things. I done everything everybody said you're not supposed to do. I did. Gangs. I went and hung around with gangs. I went and smoked. Methamphetamine was my last addiction. Yeah, methamphetamine was my last poison. Marijuana for life. I'm actually a 420 supporter. I'm all about this new bill that's coming in. I believe it will help, especially our methamphetamine people coming off their drug. We don't want them on methadone. We don't want them on another prescribed drug. I believe natural is the way. But we won't go there because it's not legal yet.
It's not legal yet. So you ended up on methamphetamine. How long were you using for?
I reckon I've probably used safely the last 10 years on and off. But the first time I touched it was 1999, coming into the year 2000. Yeah, on Auckland streets.
10 years. 10 years? And
yeah, it's been a problem. Definitely 5 years. It's been a problem. The last 5 years, it's been a problem. I'm no saint. I haven't said I've given up, but what I've taken out of my vocab is those words, giving up, because I've found in the last 8 years I've gone through giving up. I've gone through it all. I chose not to do rehab because I just find that's just another way of meeting and greeting, local people that I can connect and network with. No, I don't need to connect people. I don't need to match a dot. That's easily. I can just do that on the street.
What's the connection for you of being a user or an addict or whatever word you like to say, user, and trauma of the past?
Oh, huge. That's the reason why well, for me, I believe it's what led me to abuse. Yeah. We all have an addiction, whether it's food, whether it's whatever, and we all have an indulgence, because an indulgence can lead to the addiction. It's just, where's that fine line that changes from indulgence to addiction? And some people can't catch yourself, so you don't even know you're in addiction state until ugly comes out, like you get disowned by your family, you hear little whispers around corners, you just, of those people that are in your face telling you, we got you, don't worry. They're actually, the drug is only half the problem. Society is another, and the people on it, the people on the drug is a big problem. It's just a mental thing. It's got to do with trauma, I believe. Some people, I don't know, but I can speak on my behalf, and I believe that I speak on behalf of a lot of people, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. Addiction comes from trauma. Yeah, it's a hard one to swallow. It's a real hard one.
What do you say? It's a hard one to swallow. They're using the.
You don't want to acknowledge the truth. Nobody wants to own the truth.
What's the truth?
They're drawn out. Like for me, that my truth was, I had led myself down a road so deep, so far, that I had to leave my own hometown, leave the people that I love, move to completely nowhere to try and catch myself. And I didn't. I actually fell even further down the pit. And actually the government systems help with that, to help you fall further down, even though they're saying, we got you, we're helping you, we've got this, and this. No, they're actually helping you go down those pits of doom. They put me, when I left Gisborne like 2 years ago. When I got to Auckland, they put me in I applied for emergency accommodation. I heard I was entitled to it because I was on the streets. They put me in a shared accommodation, a house, that there were 2 houses on this one property, and it was pretty much a 24/7 crack house with multiple people just coming and going.
So that was the accommodation, the emergency.
So that was the accommodation that they found was safe and fit for me to stay in. A female, single, by herself, with nothing, in a whole new town. Yeah, that's what one thought was safe for me to stay in. Didn't even have a lock on the door. The first night I didn't even sleep because I was obviously high, because that's how I got there anyway. I was already on that train wreck, so I wasn't sleeping. I was already paranoid, super paranoid about life in general. I was already hyped, like, I've been diagnosed with complex PTSD, so that's the effect that it's got me to. So at that point I was hyping. It was like, whoosh, everything's coming.
So I'm going to bring us in, and I'm going to go back. So tell me about, like, I know you mentioned that you were a spoiled kid and there was this kid, but tell me about what was your first recognition, or I guess awareness of trauma abuse. Like you've talked about, getting people leaving you behind and you're a spoiled kid and all that. But so what? So what else was there? Where are we going tonight? Because I don't believe that's what it was. I know you've got a more than story. You've got a bigger story than getting left behind by your, the whānau, and then
no, that was actually really really horrible, to be quite honest, because it was the beginning. That was a moment that I can remember, because it was only the beginning of the rest. You know what I mean? It just got worse. It just got worse. It just got worse in the fact that because I was whāngai,
so I'm just going to hold up for a second.
It just got worse.
Hold up for a second. So for those who are listening, because we've got listeners from all over, a whāngai is somebody who was brought up by another family member. So not brought up with your own parents, or not adopted, but it's one of the ways in which you're brought up with another family. So sorry, just needed to let people know what that was. Cool. So then what? So when you said to me it got worse and then got worse, what is that?
Oh.
Like what?
Okay. I suppose there was alcohol and drugs as a child around me as well. A lot of drunken old men around me, who want juicy kisses and cuddles and just holding on to that extra bit that don't make you feel comfortable, but it's the right whanaungatanga thing to do. I suppose just growing up around all of that, it just become more apparent. And then, by the time I was 13, I was raped, By the time I was 13, I was raped. That's the reality of it all. And that's real talk. And it was by someone I did know. And it is a really horrible thing. And I suppose I can say it out loud because I've just been through this ACC claim. And in no way or form do I want to remember the person's name, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And I'm not going to take that away from anything, because I've already lived an adult lifetime of putting it in the cupboard for shame, basically.
And who owns that shame?
Oh, not me. We all own a piece of it. My part was the choices I made that led me to the position I was in. But once again, that comes from the trauma that led me to that position. And being a kid, you don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so what about relationships for you?
Relationships? Wow, that's a good one.
Woo!
What do they look like? Okay, by the time I was 15, I had been had Maunga and Black Power partners. I found the father of my children. He was non-gang associated. So I held him. And I actually held on to him for 15 years. He's the father of both my children. I looked at him like a savior. However, what he brought to the table was a whole nother abuse. And it was psychological. It was a psychological abuse, really. This one was which I'd never encountered in my whole entire life.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. So I know we're not going to go down the gang thing tonight, right? We're not. But you talked about your partner that was another psychological abuse. So is it about a patch or not about a patch? Because you got
it's never. Yeah, it's not. So, it's not. And I can honestly say that it don't matter what it is. It's still ugly.
So it's the person, right?
Yeah, it's the person.
And you said that yourself. So you had this, and now you had this other one who was actually you encountered that had psychologically abused you in a way that you've never even encountered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in saying that, being physically abused, it's something I'd never really encountered from a male either. Well, not one that I felt close to me, but then that opened up some closet doors, and that's why I'm here as well, and that's why I fully lost control.
I just want to say right now, we're just going to pause, and I think you're doing a fucking brilliant job right now and sharing your story with us.
Thanks, guys. I don't know how we're just rolling. We're just rolling.
So I just want to acknowledge what you're doing here tonight as a moment, because I know you.
Yes. It's been hard. It was my mum's anniversary this week. 13 years passed. That's another trigger for me. That's one of my triggers. The government's a trigger for me. I hate the system. I have huge issues with the system. That it's developed to suppress Māori, oppress us, all of it. We're not going there, I know. But anyway.
No, you can go wherever. But I'm going to ask you this. So, and there's a question here. So where was was there a specific moment in time, or was there a turning point, or was there something you thought, fuck it, I've had enough, something's got to change, or what? Tell us a little bit about the turning point, from the darkness to the turning into the, maybe even just seeing some light off here in the distance.
Okay, so 8 years ago, I got into heaps of trouble in Australia. I could have been a 501, but I jumped ship and come home. From there, I promised myself I wouldn't land myself back in trouble. I don't have a criminal record here in New Zealand, hence why I have a degree in teaching. The thing is, my children, my two boys, I have two boys, they stayed in Australia with their dad. Long story, just it turned ugly, and that it is what it is. That's another part of my trauma, actually, especially that's why I say, especially the last 5 to 8 years. It's been traumatic, even more traumatic, because not only did I have to deal with coming home to New Zealand, which was 10 years behind Australia, I had to deal with coming home to people that didn't understand me, didn't understand nothing. It's a huge difference. The lifestyle is way different. Everything's different. And it's just different. It's way different, and it's huge. And coming home, I had to deal with not having my kids, lies, deceit, everything being told to my kids. Wasn't even allowed to talk to them, at least for the first 3 years. Might have got 3 phone calls in that first 3 years. Yeah, and then as of last year, 2018 June, I found out my son. I actually asked for my son to come home because he was in a situation in Australia, and his dad actually sent him home on the 1st of January last year. And that pretty much was the turning point for me with my kid coming home to New Zealand. There was no way in hell that kid was going to see me in the state I was in. Really. Okay. That's what it was for me. Yeah. And that's all I cried for all those 8 years was him. I truly believe if they had given my kid back instead of making a big la story about what it was, when it wasn't, I wouldn't have ended up to what it was, because now it is,
What sort of support? So that was a turning point when your son came home. And then what choices did you make to support you in your new walk?
One of the the best decisions I made, I landed in Auckland in August 2018. For 3 months, I ran amok out in the dirty south. In your mouth, it's literally, I'm going to say it, literal, it can be. Good people, heaps of good people out there, but as you know, it still has what it is. Yeah, I got heaps of love for some of those people out there. But, you know, and then I just moved, and I was quite lucky because some of the people that I met out there, they kind of had me too and supported me moving away from the situation because they knew I was in a place and space that wasn't where they were, but whatever it was. And I moved from the dirty south to out east because I know out east it's, well, there's demographics and all those sorts of things that kind of run the show around that place, and it's good. It's a safety like no other for me. And when I moved, there was like cameras, security. The managers were on. They were like military, no, but sort of. The managers were on. He didn't muck around. He had he was an anti. He hated methamphetamine. If it smelled like it looked like it, you got 24-hour notice, and he kicked you out. So it was a safe place for me to be.
Which is what you needed.
And then I went into
you needed that actual
that's what I needed.
level of managing the space that you were living in, which is a key point for people. Yeah. You know, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing the huge shifts you made and decisions to move yourself physically into another environment and then move yourself into another environment. Healing doesn't just drop in your lap. You actually, like you've done.
You got to work hard. It ain't easy.
Not easy.
It ain't easy. Nah, that's why we go get high. That's why we go get high and drunk, because it's so much easier. Like, I'll be real. I got to like 3 months. I've been to a psychiatrist. I've been to the doctors. Like, I need something. But then I know have an addictive personality. So I don't want prescribed drugs because, I'll go to that chemist all day and drug her. You know, it's legal. I can. It's on Housewives. Let's go and get some, what is it, Xanax. Let's go and get some Xanax. Have you got some? Xanax is a depressant. It's for people that are depressed. It's a psychotherapy drug, you know, and we see it on Housewives, and they're saying got a Xanax like it's just a Panadol, you know. So I can see myself, you know. Ritalin's another one. It's 1% of cocaine, you know. So I know those figures. Yes.
Okay.
That's saying, guys.
So what are you doing now? What's part of your keeping you on your journey to wellness and health and well-being? What are you doing now right at this point?
Well, that's why I went into the sensitive claims. It wasn't to name and shame people, it was to utilize the psychology side of it, the professionals, because when they send you to rehab, they're giving you counselors. Counselors study for a year, and they're really, you know, they're not. Whereas a psychologist studies for 4 years, and it's a bit more in depth, and it's just a bit more to do with the chemical balances of brains and all those. I don't know why we don't get those on the everyday. Like, I just think it's a trauma. Give us the person that deals with trauma. A counselor doesn't deal with trauma. A counselor is like a plaster. It just fixes it for a moment. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah. And you know what that matters right now is your opinion. What you need for you is what you need for you. So for other people, counselors might work, you know, other healing methodologies might work. There's a whole lot of different avenues. And what I hear from you is going,
well, that's why.
So have you made the decision?
Yeah, well, that's why I tap into with you as well. That's why I tap in with you as well, because for my Te Ao Māori side, for my balance, because I can tap into my Pākehā side and all those Pākehā medicines all day because of the chemicals in my food, in my ear, in my everything, and that's what that medical doctor's helping me with. But my tinana, my wairua, my tapawhare, that's where you come in, really. Much love, babe. But also my cousin. My cousin Anna, she's another big person that came in to play with me too when I went and stayed and then in us. She sat with me for months. Was my cousin Boo Boo? That's for you, Boo Boo. Yeah, no, I think she is a huge part in my success story.
I know somebody who, and it aligns to what you're saying tonight. We've got our own Dr. Shivali, matiwawe.com, and she talks a lot about you can't fix the soul wound with a colonizer's medicine. You know, we need our medicines and our whare in order to heal our. I know we've got to ask our own po of our whare, you know, our own ways, our own medicines, and seek that knowledge from within ourselves. So I hear when you're saying to me that part of that for you was touching base, you know, with the cousin Anna and with me having me over here, that this one thing is not working for us. It's not working for you, it's not working for others. We want a more holistic approach. And I'm hearing that from you, and I hear that from others as well that I talk to. So
with methamphetamine, I truly believe we just need that. It's a heavy drug. There's a reason why we're escaping from reality. Because I'll be real, only in the last year, say about a year ago, I messaged my cousin, it was her birthday. Happy birthday, Cars. Happy 21st. She said to me, Cars, my birthday. My 21st was last year. It's one of my favorite cousins. That's how deep and lost I was in the drug. That because of the trauma, because I don't want to deal with reality. Nobody wants to listen to me. I got nobody. These are the oh woe me's that I was telling myself. My reality was I actually have a whole whānau unit that was waiting for me because there was nothing no one could do. Only I could do this. There is nothing that anyone can do. You can go on and on and on about a user using, telling them to straighten up. It's a waste of your fresh air. It really is. It really is, because the user needs it's that spark, like you said. What was that spark? And I don't know what it is. You need to feel like someone's got you, and users don't feel like anyone's got them.
Some big advice there, and I've heard that. And that's true. That is true for any healing journey, not just methamphetamine or anything. It's like, and that's a big message for us all. It's like no one else can take this journey for us. It doesn't matter what our drug is or our addiction or our trauma. You know, no one else can do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. We might go around looking for ways or different things that are going to help us make the decision, but at the end of the day, it's up to me. If it's going to be, it's up to me. If it's going to be, it's up to me. No one else. And you know, all the people that want to save us from ourselves or whatever, like you said, absolutely doesn't do it jack shit. It's up to them. And that came loud and clear just in your little message there.
Thanks.
So what can we do? What can we do? Tell me, what can we do?
I don't know. It's kind of a hard one. I just think things need to become a bit more normal instead of, you know, it's bad enough we have racism in our country. It's bad enough we have that and we're fighting against our own. But when you add drug addicts into that mix, we not only have racism, we have drug addicts and we have the law. And it's, how do you tell me, but it's like
again,
this.
It's like what's within my control and what's not. The only thing that's within my control.
And you know, I think I'm a bit more fortunate. I don't know. I think I've been exposed to a few more life things than others, being that I've lived in Australia, being that I've done a whole bunch of other things. Whereas I'm aware of people that haven't. They might not have even left their little small town like Gisborne or Wairoa. You know what I mean? So they don't even know what's beyond these realms. So all they know is this. So anything beyond this is unachievable, unreachable. And it's really sad because so was the mindset. And it's hard when they're set in those ways and their tight-knit circle is set in those ways. But how do you get out? How do you find that way out? if it's not the way of the people first? I don't know. It's just a question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Mm.
Because everybody has their own journey, right? Whether you're in a country, small town, city, and for you out and you had an opportunity to live across the ditch for a bit, and for you, that's what helped you see and experience a bigger life. But that's your journey. So for someone else, it will be something else, which is why it's really important for us to share our stories. You know?
Yeah, totally. That's why I thought I'll do this. It's good for me because it's about me healing, and I've just come through done the psychiatry things and had to do the whole, you got to see 2 psychiatrists, you've actually got to talk to 3 psychiatrists for this ACC claim. And first one, okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead. You can see that one, she gives the okay and an idea of what your problems are. So my aim was for the psychologist. Now I've just been given a whole 2 years of my psychologist from Auckland. I'm allowed her here in Gisborne, and that's purely because I have trust issues around with lots of things, and I like my counsellor. It's not actually heard of, to be quite honest. Once you leave a district, you have to find your new psychologist. Yeah, so I'm like one of the first for you guys. So we're leading the way, guys. We're leading the way. We're going to get this.
No way. So you heard it here. If that's you, know that you can actually have access because the precedent has been.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about precedent, but
I'm going to ask now. If you're listening to our conversation and you want to ask Leitha any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'll see if we can get those answered before our time's up with Leitha tonight. And I just want you to leave some positive messages for her to acknowledge her sharing tonight, because it's a powerful message. Leitha, thank you for your sharing again. I think you're amazing. I think you're inspiring, and your story is absolutely going to help someone else just from you sharing your story. Sharp, girl, sharp. I'm loving it. I can't wait. What about what's next for Leitha?
What's next? Watch this space. She's coming.
She's coming.
Slowly but surely, she's coming. And to her full extent, because she's dealing with her trauma. So once those gates open, we've seen what Leitha can do with gates up and run, blocking all my territories. They're getting broken down. And I'm about to shine. Smile and shine all day long.
You're shining already, girl, I tell you. What's something you can see? If you could even just imagine for the future,
okay.
what would it be?
Oh. Well, I'm doing like I said, I've got a degree in teaching. At the moment, I've cross-credited, and I'm now doing the Toira Whānau at Tuanango Raukawa, which is the diploma this year in social work, and leading my way to the degree because it's achievable. Why not double degree me, eh? Since I can't, and since I'm that person that's been told she can't, she's nobody, she's useless, big old drug addict, all of those things. Watch me do this, guys. Watch me do this. She's gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna. Exactly.
Yeah. I'll celebrate it with you. We'll come back and do a live and say she did. Woohoo!
She is.
Yeah, she is.
Is there anything?
So that's a start, and I kind of want to get into. I'm not too sure if I want to go into criminal law because I'm just not down on those statistics of our people, or working with our people in the community. I'm really I can't do it until I break these barriers, though, because I'm not effective. I will not be fully effective for our people, and it's all about that from here on out. Especially after, real George Floyd. Just putting that out there. Real George Floyd. Yes, that, and with that, and, and just, these armed defenders in our, South Auckland and all our dominantly Māori Pacific Island areas. Yeah, I have issues with all of that. But this because we've talked. Yeah,
Awesome.
so I don't know. We're there somewhere. We're in amongst it.
I just want to pick up on something you just said a minute ago about you said something like, but I'm not ready yet. You're talking about your social work and going into that space, and you said, but I'm not ready yet because I won't be effective. And I just want to acknowledge you for that self-insight and that awareness, because a lot of people go into those spaces carrying their baggage without having dealt with their own personal trauma, and then working with our people from their wounded place, from their unhealed place, and they do more damage than so I just wanted to acknowledge your sharp awareness to the fact that you will be effective when you've dealt with your, we never say that you'll get there and you can say, I'm healed now. There's going to be stuff. But, you are really on point. And somebody's just written this comment for you here. Look at that. Look at this. I want to put this up for you can see that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw that one. Thank you, Kitty.
Telling your story.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I'm really nervous. This is almost like verbal diarrhea, but it's truths. All truths.
So true.
I don't think you can verbally diarrhea this type of stuff and fake it to make it.
Faking it, girl. I'm going to put some more comments up for you. I want you to read them.
Oh, tino tahua, Leitha. Thank you for sharing and thank you for celebrating you. Continue being kind to yourself. That's beautiful. Oh, thank you, Teresa. Oh, well, that's cool. Delilah, thank you for your story. You are a strong lady. Not many would come through like you have. You are best. Good night, ladies. Thank you. Good night, beautiful. And thank you. Yeah, it's a hard one. I'm lucky I'm doing all Sister B. Like I said, she's a part of my journey, so it's a good thing.
So hey, I know you're not dealing with all these positive things that's going on. You're trying to change.
No, I'm really not. It's not normal.
That's why I'm putting them on screen for you.
Did you see me trying to sidetrack those? I actually
just one more.
Just saw those comments. I actually just touched the button and saw those. Prior to that, I had it on private chat, and I was thinking, "Oh yeah, this is good. No cord at all."
And here's one here. Here's another one.
Yeah, hang on. Where are we?
It's on the screen here.
Everyone can see and hear you. Oh, everyone. Oh, yeah. Where are we?
Oh, shoot.
Hang on.
So there you go. We'll stay in touch, you and I. I know we will. Totally. And the next time I have another wānanga, it'll be down here in Wairoa. So
yes, I'm coming to that one.
Rock on over.
Yeah, I'm coming home.
In the weekend. But just a big mihi, big mihi to you. Thank you for coming on and sharing and holding space with me and telling your story. And I, honestly, like I said, never be afraid to share your story, my story, anybody else's story, because it could be in that story that unlocks a prison for someone else. So I want to do a big mihi to you, Leitha. Thanks for coming along tonight, and we'll catch up a bit later. And that's us from darkness to light.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
I'm out.
You're out, and we'll catch up shortly, sister.
Okay.
Haki te.
Haki te.